Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel and thanks for logging on. Well, I'm going to have to zoom out a little bit to do justice to this one. Today we're discussing the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Offshore Shaquille O'Neal limited edition of 960 pieces in stainless steel. You can see and you can purchase this giant on our website. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you enjoy these videos, and please click on the card in the upper right hand corner of the screen. Yep, that one up in the right hand corner to see our full sales listing for this watch with additional accessories included, high resolution images for your desktop, and naturally complete price details for a watch with a personality as outside as its namesake. Now you can see this watch on my wrist, 6 1/3 inches, 16 centimeters in circumference, is simply huge. As big as Shaq. It probably looks like a traditional Royal Oak on his wrist, but on any other, the 48mm case, now that's 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock, not inclusive of crown guards, chronograph pushers, or crown, simply dwarfs a normal human wrist. Now it's not any thicker than a regular Offshore. 15mm thick, it's actually just a little bit less than 15, so if your wrist is broad enough, chances are your sleeve is going to be big enough to clear it. The biggest dimension is from lug to lug, where the watch measures a simply Brobdingnagian 61mm horizontally across the wrist. That's definitely the watch's singular dimension because it determines who can and cannot wear this watch. I would say my wrist is too small. Realistically, I would say you need a wrist of approximately 17.5mm in circumference to wear this one with a straight face, although it is supposed to be worn with a smile. It's that kind of watch. Now, it's exceptionally heavy. Unlike the original 48mm T3, the Terminator 3, limited edition of 1000 for Arnold Schwarzenegger. This one's in steel, not titanium, so you feel every one of those 61mm lug to lug. The watch is hefty and it has a solid case back. The solid case back by itself probably weighs as much as certain ultra thin watches. You'll also note that although it is borne on a strap, the strap is simply huge, one of the largest executions of the famed hornback alligator leather strap that Audemars Piguet has ever issued. It features folded sides, features a contrasting red hand stitch, and this is a throwback back to the future, so to speak, but this 2007 limited edition uses the single mono-hinge lug design that debuted with the very first strap-borne Royal Oak Offshores in the early 90s. It hasn't gone over to the dual plot system. You'll also know that the strap is secured by screws, not spring bars. That'll give you a little bit of peace of mind, and it's the kind of quality sort of insurance policy you want to see on a watch this heavy. No spring bars, but bars borne by screws, threaded in and secure. It has an immense pin buckle, beautifully finished. You can see it's all of satin finish with an Audemars Piguet logo engraved. Handsome, makes for easy adjustability on the fly. And if, like Shaq, you tend to spend a lot of time in the air, this one's also remarkably tough, featuring the caliber 3126 internally with a Dubois-Dupraz 3840 chronograph module. The resilience of this in-house caliber, considerably more than the JLC 889 system featured on the original T3. It features a dual-anchored balance bridge for robust resistance to shock-induced timing deviation and a free-sprung balance with a Gyromax architecture, which is to say a fixed index regulator with variable inertia blocks on the balance. Again, very resistant for when you finally come down. Now, of course, the system's also blessed with a longer power reserve than the prior calibers, 55 to 60 hours depending on whether or not you're running the chronograph. It has a more traditional 21,600 vibration per hour beat rate, and it winds in both directions. It has ceramic bearings to ensure long-wearing durability. That system is essentially sealed, and because of the bidirectional winding, Audemars Piguet made a deliberate choice to go with that system rather than the more efficient unidirectional, because with bidirectional, the wheel doesn't freewheel in either direction. You don't feel that Valjoux 7750 style wobble on the wrist. Now, a screw-down crown endows the watch with 100-meter water resistance to protect that gorgeous caliber inside. And of course, it does feature the cardinal refinements, including a quick set date for rapid correction and hacking seconds, so you thread out the crown, pull it, stop the second, synchronized to a reference time. The chronograph, because of the vertical clutch employed by the Dubois-Dupraz module, features a very smooth engagement. You'll see that it doesn't jump when you start it, unlike a lateral clutch, nor does it stagger when you stop it, and it always resets precisely to the index 12. Now, there are many handsome styling features that make this watch a gentle giant, but the combination of the black mega tapisserie dial with the polished and satin finished steel is actually quite handsome. As big as this watch is, it doesn't give up on the finery you expect on any watch bearing the Royal Oak name. You can see that tapered hairline bevel along the flank of the lug and the lug hoods. You can see the slight recess of the beautifully polished hexagonal steel bezel bolts inside the satin finished bezel itself. And you'll note the gorgeous rounded hand polished bevel to the flanks of that Royal Navy porthole inspired octagonal bezel, a clear link, as exaggerated as this watch is, to Gerald Genta's 1972 original. Now there's a gorgeous tritone about the dial, and yes, you'll note Shaq's signature number 32 has resulted in the swapping of the numerals. All the numerals are applied and they are metal, so the only luminescence on this dial is on the hands themselves. But the tritone is gorgeous. Red, black, and white, it's a combination that served many sporting chronographs well over the years. You'll also note the dial has tremendous depth, everything from the sunken date to the bowl-shaped, heavily dished Rayhaut featuring the red tachymetric scale, to the actual texture of the tapisserie itself. This is a handsome and nuanced dial. The watch certainly has a measure of shock value, but it's not just a big brute. It can be surprisingly subtle, kind of like Shaq itself. You can see this watch, and you can purchase it in the name, in the memory, in honor of Shaq, on our website.